Sweetheart! Did you get the champagne? Freeze! Pookie.
I tried to make it look like an accident. I tried to give you some dignity, but oh no, not you.
What do you say?
I'm saying I want you dead and I want your money.
But, don't you love me? Is that a no?
Do I love you? Look at yourself. You're a nightmare. You're the missing link. You shouldn't be married. You should be studied. You're a big, dumb, weird thing. No woman in her right mind could love you.
Thing!
Welcome back to the show.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
It's our very special Thanksgiving episode. It's coming out the night of Thanksgiving.
How fun is that?
Yeah.
I love it. Everybody out there listening, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott. And these are the movies that made us gay.
Yeah.
We have a very special Thanksgiving movie for you.
Yes, indeed.
To go along with your pie.
Yeah, this movie was really fun. The little Thanksgiving break in there is interesting.
Yeah.
It ages well, but it's fun.
We'll get into it.
Indeed. We'll get into it. Scott, talk about what we just watched.
We watched Addams Family Values from 1993, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, with our friend Andy. Andy Orr, right?
You don't have to complicate it. It's just the one syllable.
Good to have you on.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me. Long time listener, first time contributor.
Wow. Well, welcome to the show, man. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, this is a great movie. So much to unpack.
Yeah,
so much.
It's been on the long list for a while, and I decided to make a very special holiday episode because there is a brief Thanksgiving scene in the movie.
The canon of Thanksgiving movies is rather limited.
Yes. And it's usually families arguing over a dinner table.
Which...
It's not nearly as fun as this.
Yeah, truly.
It's like this, Pieces of April, which I watch every year, Home for the Holidays, directed by Jodie Foster, or The Ice Storm.
Oh, boy.
The Ice Storm, yeah, that's...
Oh.
That one feels good.
That's a pretty queer movie, though, but yeah.
We could potentially do The Ice Storm.
We'll see.
We'll see. I love The Ice Storm, though. I've been meaning to revisit it. But yes, Addams Family Values. Yes. Written by that big old queen, Paul Rudnick. Are you guys familiar with Paul Rudnick at all?
I mean, I'm sure I am.
So Paul Rudnick, I remember when I used to subscribe to Premiere Magazine, he had a monthly review column which he wrote as a Jewish middle-aged woman. It was Libby Haxler-Wexler, I think. I think I'm getting that wrong, but yeah. So I'm familiar with Paul Rudnick, and then he also kind of has these random screenwriting credits. He wrote Isn't She Great? The Jacqueline Susan biopic movie with Bette Midler, if you remember that.
Oh wow,
I remember that. Jacqueline Suzanne, the authoress of Valley of the Dolls.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
And Addams Family Values. After the wild success of the first movie in 1991, the sequel was fast-tracked at Paramount with a follow-up written by Rudnick. The family values in the film is a tongue-in-cheek reference by the writer to an infamous 1992 speech, Reflections on Urban America, made by then Vice President candidate Dan Quayle. In the speech, Quayle had blamed the 1992 LA riots on a breakdown of traditional family values, which caused major controversy afterwards. Did you guys know that?
Does he specifically name drop the Addams Family, or
no? He just, I think it's just sort of the kind of it talking about American values, family values.
Sure.
That I think he was sort of.
I mean, politics
at
the time. They were known, especially like right-wing politicians. George Bush would take jabs at like The Simpsons and stuff. It's like, all right.
Well, and it's ironic because the Addams Family, although, kooky and ooky, are incredibly loving.
Oh my goodness. They're like the most nuclear family ever. Like they're
very
great family
accepting
unit.
of Debbie from the very beginning, too.
Yeah. Yeah, they welcome her with open arms, but even though she's, they see her as being quite the oddball.
Yes.
And, there's just this strange juxtaposition of the fact that the movie gets into it, too, with, like, the theme of monsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the real villain, the awful monster of the movie is Debbie.
Yes.
But the people who have these, like, eccentricities
right.
are loving monsters.
Right. I mean, the Addams Family, when you think about it, like you said, it's like we have two parents who are married to each other and madly in love with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're like an old married couple that like wakes up every morning and just falls right back in love.
Exactly. Exactly.
Cara mia.
It's a multi-generational household.
Yeah.
Mama lives there.
Who's probably like 200 years old.
And is Mama... and Mama is... Morticia's mother, right?
So there's some differences between the television show from the 60s and the movies, which is very interesting because the base of this property is this was it a New Yorker single panel comic strip, right? So it's a single panel comic strip that they developed into a television show in the 60s, and that show, I think they just kind of made up a lot of stuff because the comic strip didn't have a lot of groundwork as to who these people were. It
didn't
was
really
just
have the story built in.
Right. So they made up a lot of things that eventually got brought over to the movie series. Things like Morticia cutting the roses is directly from the television show. Gomez like standing on his head and fencing and a lot of these different ideas and concepts are directly from the show as opposed to the comic strip. In the show, Mama was definitely Morticia's mother, and Fester was Morticia's uncle.
Oh,
yes. Mm-hmm. But in this property, I think she's still Morticia's mother. Because she's the only one that refers to her as Mama.
Because they because Gomez and Fester talk about their mom, and she's the centerfold.
Yes.
She's centerfold,
and they're brothers. So, and it's like I feel like if that was their mother, we'd get.
And the first movie from 1991 set up that Fester was his long lost brother. That's reintroduced to the family.
Yes,
I rewatched the first one. I'm not really a fan.
Yeah,
I like the first one.
It's a good setup, but this movie is definitely a lot more like it. It finds its legs. These characters really find out who they are. It's a lot more fun. It's a little bit more like the property's been going for a while. It was a decent origin setup movie, but I feel like this movie's a lot more fun.
And it does that Brady Bunch sequel thing that they sort of have little episodes of the Addams Family in this movie.
Yes.
That you could see this is like an episode of the show. Just little sections of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like the tie-in with Cousin It and his new wife from the last movie that she comes back and they've got their little baby What? That's his name.
It was so adorable. What? I want a what?
He's so teeny.
His little baby coffin that he's in.
Yeah, the little stroller thing's like a coffin. I love that.
Oh, the details, the production design.
But
gosh,
what I love about the Addams Family, Scott and I talk about this a lot with the Munsters. Which we also are huge fans.
Yeah,
we love the Munsters.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Munsters or Addams Family," and I feel like I don't.
It's a false choice.
Yeah,
as Kamala Harris would say, it's a false choice.
False choice, exactly. But the thing about the Munsters, that was a Universal produced production. Universal TV, and so they were able to use these images of the Frankenstein monster. Grandpa and Lily, Grandpa often refers to their last name being Dracula.
Yeah.
He often tells Lily, you're a Dracula. Not meaning that they're vampires, but that they are descendants of Count Dracula, or maybe he is Count Dracula. And Herman is clearly Frankenstein's or a Frankenstein type monster, because I think Grandpa actually makes Herman. But, and Eddie is like a werewolf in the style of, I was a teenage werewolf, that kind of a thing. But in the Addams Family, they're just weirdos. Right?
Yeah.
They're not undead. They're not
from
beyond the grave. They're just freaky deaky people.
And they're all just super rich. Like, the Addams Family is almost a comment on how oblivious the top 3% is. That they just sort of live in their own universe.
Do we know the source of their wealth?
No.
I mean, when Debbie's looking at like and tell me why that's just always the trope is like a serial killer is like, well, I've got here are all the newspaper clippings on this person. You always see that in movies.
Yeah, they've just been.
But like it says, there's one with Fester on the cover of Forbes and it says like 20 richest people in America.
Well,
in
the first movie, they go down to the vault and there's like Spanish doubloons, so it's like ancient family money.
This like Phantom of the Opera scene where they're just like on this little canoe down there, like going through these canals.
So there's like a vault with just millions below the Addamses.
Yes. But where did it come from? Where did they amass all of this?
The old land.
Pirate gold, the old country, whatever the old country is.
And also Gomez strikes me as someone that would have invested in the 80s stock market with all of that. So he only got even richer.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he had, in the first movie, he's got that accountant.
Yeah. Sully. But what I love about the Addams Family, especially in these two movies, is just how innocent they are.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything for personal gain. They're not using this money nefariously.
There's
They're not
never any malice
buy the town
or
do anything horrible. They just want to live their little freaky lives in their fabulous, mansion, wearing their like Victorian swimsuits and
they're very comfortable being themselves.
Yeah.
And good on them.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I was thinking of when you were talking about Debbie being the real monster in this movie, that kind of aligns a little bit with the Munsters and how Marilyn, their niece, is like this normal-looking, hot blonde girl, and they're
so like, awful to her.
They feel so bad for her.
Poor, she'll never find a date.
Yeah,
and to them, she's like the freaky kind of outcast person, and to the Addamses, they don't want anything to do with being normal and blonde and just this like Anglo-Saxon American ideal, right? They're just like they reject that.
It really becomes apparent when they first get to Camp Chippewa, because those are they talk about it being exclusive and what is it, like $20,000 a year? We hear that at some point.
Yes, very privileged. The privileged kids get to go there,
and right? So they are of that ilk, but you would never know it.
No. Well, I mean, they've got a live-in help.
They have that nice town car.
who may not very well be alive.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, this town car they have, this very like Norma Desmond style, like kind of an old-timey limousine deal. So yeah, they are well off and wealthy. But I think it's what is so endearing about them for us, the viewer, is that they're just like, they reject social norms. They reject like, what the trappings of what would come with all this wealth. And they just are like a nice family that you want to hang out with, even though they're like creepy and spooky and ooky. So
the only one that seems to comment on just all of the idiots that she's surrounded is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because she's a child.
Yeah. And in the first movie, Wednesday is a great character. We love Wednesday. She's a breakout character, but she's still a very small child. Like Christina Ricci looks like a little child in that movie.
She's like 7 or something?
Yeah.
She would have made it back to back with mermaids.
Yeah. And so by the time this movie comes around, she's like, preteen, maybe 12 or 13 years old. So these like quips coming out of her seem a little bit more, on par with her age. And they really saw what a standout she was in the first movie, that they kind of elevated her character here. And I think in this movie, these characters really come into their own as far as like, their like character type or whatever. And Wednesday has a lot of really good lines in this. But yeah, I think they're a little bit more developed, and the kids being a little bit older kind of lends that to these characters being a little bit more fun. Because, like I said, in the first movie, it's cute. She's a little kid and it's cute. But in this one, it's like, all right, now she's getting to be a teenager. So these lines really make a lot more sense. And her interactions with Pugsley, where she's constantly trying to kill him, but then when the new baby comes along, now they're trying to kill the new baby. And it's that thing that siblings have where they hate each other, but then eventually when an outside force comes in, then they kind of band together.
Well, one of the children has to die. And so they've got to partner up.
One of my favorite line readings of this movie is when, what do they say? Like, just because like a new baby has come, now one of the other children has to die.
Yeah, they have a family meeting about it.
They had that family meeting, and then they have that shot over at Carol Kane as Mama, and she's like, well, that's not true. And then she sighs. Not anymore. like those were the good old days when you could just...
While she's knitting octopus-like...
Yeah.
Those were the good old days that you could just get rid of a sibling.
Yes. Carol Kane...
Underutilized.
Yes. The addition of Carol Kane in this movie as Mama is amazing, but you're right. She is underutilized.
Recast, too.
Yeah. That's the addition for this
poor
movie.
thing, I read about... all the trouble she had with makeup. It was like some 5-hour makeup job every day, and I'm like, and you get what, like 6 lines? Come on.
And she's, I believe, younger than Anjelica Huston too. Interesting.
Oh gosh,
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, she works as grandmama, but yeah, she wasn't an old lady at the time.
No.
Like when they shot this, she, maybe in her early 50s, if that. But it is genius casting. She's so good. That crazy Carol Kane voice and delivery is really good. But yeah, you do wish there was more.
Also, ingenious casting. Anjelica Huston will always be my Morticia. I know that people love Carolyn Jones from the TV show, and Charlize Theron just did the voice of Morticia, but Anjelica sort of just embodies Morticia. Just how she walks, how she positions her body, that fucking spotlight on her eyes.
Oh my god! So I read this article, and she was apparently she demands a key light. It's in her contracts for every project she does.
I mean, she knows how she wants to be lit.
She has this really funny, old Hollywood way of approaching things. She's like, well, we were making a picture.
Well, she's part of the Hustons.
Truly, it's a dynasty. But we were making a picture, and we were in the middle of photography. And she just uses all these funny colloquialisms. But she was saying that she was like, actors must be well lit. And she was like, up until Prizzi's Honor, I had never been well lit before. And she's like, I think that's why I won the Oscar. I'm like, yeah, because of the lighting. Because of the lighting. That did it.
Wow.
But it all just works well. And she talked about her makeup job was a pain in the ass. She had the eye tabs. She had...
did they yank her face?
They did.
Okay.
She had this wig. Apparently the shot in the beginning where she's getting wheeled into the hospital to keep that aesthetic of her, totally unfazed by childbirth. They shot it with her standing up.
Sure. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because, and they said in the first one they had to cut quite a bit anytime she moved and her hair parted. So she had to get really good, and they wanted this ethereal feeling of her just skating across.
Mm-hmm.
So she stopped. She would only move from the waist up.
Sure.
And she did this she kept her hands in a prayer symbol.
Yeah.
And it just adds to this elegance of this woman, and it makes the character. But that attention to detail is what Anjelica Huston really brings to Morticia.
Yes, definitely. You're right. It's probably with that key light on her eyes, it is probably hard for her to move around. Her blocking was probably pretty static just because to get that light. If it's there, when she moves, it's gone.
And also the dresses that she wears by Greek costume designer Theone V. Aldridge. I was looking up the costume designer, and she's led a very interesting life. She won the Oscar for The Great Gatsby, and she just has this crazy resume of movie costumes. She did Moonstruck and Can't Stop the Music. I thought that was funny. But and even just that dress must have been hard to move in.
Yeah, she's obviously in a corset, and I noticed that in a couple scenes. It's an incredibly intricate, beaded kind of getup.
It's just not a simple black Elvira dress.
No. And
there's a lot of detail in it.
And she's sewn into it. God, that woman used to be rail thin. Good on her.
Yeah. And she's got these red nails.
Yeah.
Which I love. That it's not a black nail, it's a red nail,
No, and Wednesday has them too.
Yes. I noticed that in this.
I noticed that, and it was so sweet. I was like, oh, chip off the old block.
There's a close up of her hands when they're trying to break out of the camp. Yeah, I did in the first movie at there's a formal event at the end, there's a party. What's going on at the end of the first movie?
The end of the first movie is Halloween.
And not the very end of the first movie.
They're having a going away party for Fester.
That's it. They have Wednesday in a small version of Morticia's dress.
Yeah.
And I think she's wearing a similar version in Fester and Debbie's wedding. Wednesday. I think it's pretty much just a scaled down version of Morticia's dress, which I love. I think that's very cute. the white like kabuki face with red lips and like her
Beautiful eyeshadow
all the way up to her brows. Yeah. It's like, and Anjelica Huston's face is very interesting because, you know, I don't know.
She can do a lot of subtle acting with it.
Yeah, but it's not the most like you know, quote, pretty, subtle, feminine face.
It's a little angular. I mean? It's a little masculine, but that's what makes it interesting.
She has larger features. Mm-hmm. She just does. It's not that she's unattractive, but it's like she doesn't look like Jenny Garth, you know? But it works for Morticia, right? It works for this spooky character and the exaggerated makeup and all that stuff.
I remember reading in her memoir, I can't remember the title of her memoir, but she talks about being obsessed with Carolyn Jones in the Addams Family when she was a little girl.
That's interesting.
Well, the raven hair, and they're you know, cut from the same cloth aesthetically. I think what I love, and I was watching this twice and really kind of focusing on the performances, and so much happens with her eyes. And I mean, the key light is on her eyes, and her eye makeup is intense, but some of my favorite things are just the side eye she gives, like to Gomez anytime. She's kind of validating something. I think one of my favorite line readings is when they go to try and rescue Fester from their house, and Debbie won't let them see him. Yeah. And she's going on about, hang on, I've got it written down because it was just gold. When she says, you've placed Fester under some sort of strange sexual spell. I respect that. She has all these great lines, and she's listing off all the things that she's done to him, and then she says, you know, but like they could forgive anything. She's like, but Debbie, pastels.
You have enslaved him. You have placed Fester under some strange sexual spell. I respect that. But please, may we see him?
Don't even think about it.
You have gone too far. You have married Fester. You have destroyed his spirit. You have taken him from us. All that I could forgive. But, Debbie...
What?
Pastels?
Get out of my house!
And she's got that, and it's so funny because you know, like, the look of intensity that she has, and, like, she was like, this is going to be a sick burn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how in this movie versus the first one, so much of her acting is very still. There is not a lot of like movement and walking around, and I feel like unfortunately she's kind of underused as well. I feel like she did a lot more in the first movie, right?
I think there was just so much attention to Joan Cusack's character that maybe there just wasn't room in the script for it.
This is really Debbie and Wednesday's movie.
Yeah,
sure, yep, which is fine.
Yeah, but what we get of Gomez and Morticia is good.
Yeah,
there's a lot of gold in there.
So I was reading about when they were making this movie that Anjelica Huston said it was very clear that Raul Julia's health was deteriorating.
Sure.
That she really noticed it during production, that he had trouble eating and was losing a lot of weight. And he died within a year the film was released.
Yeah. Yeah, this was the last movie that was released when he was alive. Because Mortal Kombat came out after, but he had already died.
Mortal Kombat, you mean Street Fighter? And I believe that he was literally dying as they were making Street Fighter.
Oh yeah, you can see it in the movie.
Yeah, he's very thin in Street Fighter.
It's sad, but I give the man tremendous credit for I mean, I guess he was diagnosed with stomach cancer during the production of the first one, and still and
then he had a stroke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like I think it was like early '94 that he had a stroke.
Yeah, like guy went through a lot. Now he has tremendous gay street cred. He's a theater guy, but no,
Kiss the Spider Woman, right?
Yeah. Kiss the Spider Woman. Yeah,
didn't he originate that on stage?
I believe
too.
So.
And then he also originated 9 on stage as well.
I didn't know that. Neat.
Yeah, interesting. And who went on to portray Gomez in Addams Family on stage?
Nathan Lane
is that queen.
Oh, okay.
Who's also in this movie?
There's so many damn theater people, so many fag. We got Cynthia Nixon.
Yes,
popping up.
Cynthia Nixon also playing a grown-up version of her character from Little Darlings. Because isn't this the character that she plays in Little Darlings?
I don't know. Never seen.
It's like a very hippie child at summer camp.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got her. We've got Nathan Lane. We've got Peter McNichol. We've got Christine Baranski.
Oh my goodness!
Probably one
Tony
of the.
Shalhoub is.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
He's one of the sailors.
Yeah.
I love Christine Baranski's line delivery. Don't we hate that? Don't we wish? Don't we hate that?
Don't we wish they would die?
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
This was probably one of the first big movies that I remember Christine Baranski's performance sticking with me when I was a child too.
Yeah.
She's a great character actress.
I think she was on Sybil at this time.
Well, yeah, she was on Sybil. She's the Patsy character on Sybil, which is great. There's a lot going on at the camp. We have the actress returning from Addams Family, Mercedes McNabb.
Mm-hmm.
As,
she's the Girl Scout.
And is it the same character? I'm going to say yes.
It could work in the universe of this movie that it's the same character.
I checked, and apparently it was not.
Okay.
They were very clear on that.
Like she just came in red? Okay.
Yeah, they made her audition, and I'm like, all right, we just think it's the same character.
Yeah, if you're going to have this girl who's in there.
But isn't she just like the perfect foil for Wednesday?
Yes.
It's like just the total, I mean, again, talking about the class element too.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is if the Addams like really indulged in just how rich they are.
Yes. I mean, when we see her and the way that they portray the other campers, all the girls are blonde, all the boys are blonde.
It's very Aryan.
These Aryan children.
Very Hitler Youth. It's got a
but all the girls are very bubbly. They all scream when they see each other for the first time, and the boys are very wearing
Brett Kavanaugh here, bro.
Boat shoes and all of that, sweaters are around their shoulders and all of this. And Wednesday and Pugsley are not that, and neither is David Krumholtz.
Yeah.
What's his character's name?
Joel Glicker?
Yeah, Joel. I would imagine that there would be a decent amount of kids who go to this camp that don't really fit in. But, I mean, historically, there kind of were summer camps that were pretty much just Jewish kids.
Yeah.
So they probably didn't go to this
and
one.
they do walk through the outcasts when they're doing the casting, and they've got like the kid who's in the wheelchair, and they have and I can't with is it Jamal?
Whatever. What was the girl's name? Consuela. Oh.
It's so mean.
Yeah. The poor outcast. Those kids look so sad.
When they get their revenge, it is well earned.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, this little girl, this actress Mercedes McNabb, she's really funny.
Yeah.
In this role.
She was also regular on Buffy.
Oh, was she?
No shit.
Yeah, she was on kind of the high school to college years on Buffy. Her character's name is Harmony, and she is in a very sitcom relationship with Spike that she's trying to
change him,
make a home life for this vampire, and it's not working. And she was always very, very funny in that show.
She a human? Or was she a vampire?
She was a human, and then she gets turned into a vampire.
Ah, spoiler alert.
She's one of the popular girls that goes on to the dark side.
Okay. So she played this popular girl character. Mm-hmm. She did that very well.
That's her lane, yeah.
I'm the victim.
All your life.
All your life.
Yeah, she just sets up Wednesday for all these really good, comebacks.
Gosh, and just the jabs. I wish I had that level of sass when I was Wednesday's age.
Yeah.
Is that your bathing suit? Is that your overlay?
Why are you dressed like somebody died? Wait.
I just wait. Oh, I know. It's so lovely. And I wrote down the list of the girls, and I was like, if ever there was a Regina George, Lily, Jennifer, Tiffany, Missy, Michelle, Melissa.
I really love the scary stories that they're telling.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that delivery when she's telling her scary story and it ends and all the girls are just just politely screaming. But then Wednesday tells them the story about their old noses growing back.
I like to think that Paul Rudnick, when he wrote that scene, was thinking of True Beverly Hills. And Phyllis's ghost story.
Sure.
About the perm.
Yeah. That tracks. It lines up. But, the reason that they go to this summer camp is because Debbie you know, I mean, we need to talk a little bit about about Debbie and
the machinations.
And Joan Cusack in this portrayal.
Just chewing the scenery. So I feel like just all gay men just have this kinship with Joan Cusack's character in this movie. Whenever you hear, like, homosexuals always talk about, like, snubbed Oscars, this is always at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Which I don't disagree. I think she's pretty funny in it.
Oh, and I love performances where you can tell the person is having the time of their life and it doesn't detract from what they're giving you either.
Yeah.
Like they're still taking it seriously. I mean, it's fun. The hair.
Yes.
The pastels, the costumes. She's got this strange, like, I don't know, Carol Lombard kind of.
You know, it's interesting because this character is set up that, you know, she's this Black Widow, kind of a serial killer. She marries wealthy men and murders them on their wedding night.
I love all of her aliases.
Makes it look like it's an accident and gets away with their money. But then the money runs out and she's left with like $3.
Literally, yeah.
Which
just
I love.
sitting there on the
and she's
$3.75.
sitting, like, lying in her bed with a box of chocolates watching TV.
But what I love is that any other movie, they would get like maybe like a knockout actress, and not to say anything about Joan Cusack's looks, but when you're just like, who are the hottest babes in Hollywood? Ask a bunch of straight guys. I don't know. Joan Cusack's getting on the top of anybody's list.
It's the best that Joan Cusack's ever looked, in my opinion, too.
But it's like they hire this woman, and it's like they brought her in because
she can deliver the comedy.
This performance, you know, and she looks great. Like she looks great. Her boobs are pushed up, you know, this blonde wig, all of that. It ends up working in the end, but it's so funny because I think that, you know, this part, like maybe a lesser director would have said, like, well, we're going to try out so-and-so and see how funny she could be. But they were just like, no, we want to bring in Joan because we know she can knock it out of the park.
Yeah, but I mean, they were going for satire and they get it. I mean, I love the initial conversation where they're interviewing her and she's just shown up and they don't understand. Like there's a misunderstanding between the two of them that they see as kinship. They're like, oh, she's a freak like us. And it's like, you know, when she says, I'm not a serial killer, they're like, of course not, you're too young.
Too young. Yeah, let's take a listen.
Hi, Addams residence. Oh, it's old. And big.
Large.
Hi, I'm Debbie Jellinsky from the agency.
The agency? But they claimed no one else was available. They suggested a Doberman.
Surprise. I've been out of town. Are you the mom?
I am Mrs. Addams.
I love your dress. It's so tight.
Thank you. Gomez. I believe we may have a new nanny. Miss Jellinsky.
Deb. Isn't he a lady killer?
Acquitted.
I can show you all my references so you know I'm not a homicidal maniac.
Of course you're not.
You're too young.
I love Gomez's delivery. Acquitted. He's just so proud of that.
There's so many as I was watching it in my apartment, I'm sure my neighbors thought that I was crazy because there would just be these and they would come every couple seconds.
That's a good thing about this movie too. We watched it last night, and I was like, these jokes are funny. Like it's still funny.
Delivers the jokes.
Yeah, and we were laughing too at a lot of it. Debbie's performance is great. It's Joan Cusack. She's amazing.
Having a real resurgence in 2020, you know, because there's that. I've seen it as a meme quite a bit, but that scene of her in the car right before
laughing,
the cry into the laugh.
I saw that this morning.
Yeah,
was it like when Donald Trump Jr. just announced that he has the coronavirus?
Oh, I saw that. I saw when Melania realizes
Melania hearing that Donald lost in Georgia twice. Yeah, you're right. I just saw that this morning. That's so funny.
I remember seeing it when Trump first got the corona.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about Uncle Fester.
Yeah.
And Christopher Lloyd's crazy performance.
Christopher Lloyd just acting with his entire body in this movie, too.
Okay, so
it's really interesting to watch. I mean, he's not a big guy.
No.
He is not a big guy, and you would never know it watching it. Because I really thought, I was like, did he put on like a lot of weight for this? Or
they just put like
Just
pads on him, shoulder pads.
So it's interesting because, again, we have this television show from the 60s. It was a sitcom. It's a little corny. It's a little hokey. It's fun, though. You know, it's classic. It's iconic. But before that, this was a comic strip. So the actors in the 60s television show kind of created these characters based on what they thought was on the page, right? Jackie Coogan comes in and plays Uncle Fester. He was a child actor in the silent era.
Like one of the first child actors in like movie history.
Worked with Charlie Chaplin. This man is old. Okay, he's in his like 50s, like when the show was first on in the 60s. He's an old man. I mean, he wasn't that old, but you know what I'm saying. It's 2020. He did. And he came from vaudeville, you know, so his performance as Uncle Fester was very big, over the top, but very specific. Had a very high voice, you know, and just kind of jokey. He was a little Three Stooges, you know,
sure.
if you will. And these characters, when they came in to do the first movie, I'm sure there was kind of an idea of, we're not going to study the television show because it's not what we're doing. We're doing our own Addams Family.
Yeah.
So Christopher Lloyd just kind of had anything to, like, he could have just come up with any way to portray this character. And the voice that he came up with is so insane.
Yeah, it's creepy.
Yeah.
His face is like his eye, like he's got the crazy dark circles under his eyes, but he just has these huge. I mean, in the first movie, he's like got amnesia, so he's almost playing two characters, really. But the character that ultimately is Uncle Fester is just this like wide-eyed, like almost like a puppy, right?
There is something really endearing about him, and that was something I picked up when they're talking about, oh gosh, when she is so mad that he didn't die in the bathtub. And you're like, and it's like, oh my gosh, like Fester is like the ideal husband. He is so devoted. He is so kind. He is so sweet. He's game for whatever.
Yeah.
How dare she manipulate him?
And it's just sort of the tragic downfall of Debbie is that Debbie is a weirdo just like all of them, but she just doesn't really like know it.
She almost could have just stayed married to Fester, had like a relationship, had all the money. She could have gotten everything that she wanted.
Yeah, if she didn't have to off him.
All that stuff, and just kept Fester around, and he would have just loved her and been devoted to her just because she was a woman that showed him some kind of attention.
If she just embraced her inner weirdo, she would have fit right in with the Addamses.
Yeah.
Because she already does.
Yeah. And I don't think you necessarily have to look like a ghoul to be part of their crew. Because, I mean, while they do have a lot of, like, weirdos and, like, Siamese twins and, like, hunchbacks and cousin It's and all that, some of the people are, you know, it's this very, like, haunted mansion Victorian kind of aesthetic. But she could fit right into that.
Yeah, you know? Anyone is allowed. Cousin It's wife. What's her name?
Cousin It's wife is just like a normal looking person.
Yeah,
she just kind of has a big Edie McClurg hairdo, but other than that, she looks normal. So
I love all of the high fashion models that they got to be Addamses. Whenever they like for this movie, they had the wedding. In the previous movie, they had the big going away party, but the Addamses like have some very high fashion models in that family tree.
Yeah.
Dementia.
Very editorial dementia.
Dementia with the serving bald head like that.
Yeah. I love the very like Amadeus looking motherfuckers sitting front row at the wedding.
Yeah.
Very like fop.
Yeah. Like French fop. I like the restaurant that they go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a restaurant for weirdos. It's like in a cave.
I like that the band is behind the bars.
Yeah, all female like band with like an accordion. But yeah, this is just a place that it's not just full of Addamses; it's full of other people, but they're all like weirdos.
There's a whole subculture
so,
of weirdos.
Yeah, they have to have found some kind of social circle, which is fun.
Yeah, and that's why this movie rings so true for, its queerisms.
Yes.
Is that we all sort of feel like outsiders, and they're saying like, and you just find your own...
You find your own community.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. What else? So should we go back to the camp?
Oh, there's so much there.
Yeah.
Well, we talked a little bit about Fester and Debbie's relationship. Before we go to the camp, you mentioned this one scene in particular. I just want to play this clip because it's really funny between Debbie and Fester. So let's just listen to this, and then we'll go to camp.
The key ingredient to a successful Hawaiian honeymoon is romantic music. I ordered this cassette from Time Life. 5,000 of the world's most romantic melodies.
It's superb. What do you call this?
Number 438. So, you like romantic living?
I do, so far.
I love romantic living. Oh, Fester, how much do you love me?
With all my soul.
Would you do anything for me?
Anything.
Would you die for me?
Yes.
Promise. Pumpkin.
Muffin.
You can definitely tell why drag queens love to lip sync to Debbie.
Yeah.
That it's just like perfect for drag.
Yeah.
And I believe in the Peaches Christ parody of this in the Castro, it was Jinx Monsoon.
Okay.
And
That works.
Sharon Needles, I think, was Morticia.
That works. I like that. I would pay real money to see that.
Of all the elements, Debbie is camp as shit.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of camp in this movie, and she's like right at the top of the list.
I'll see if I can find any of Jinx doing a lip sync to Debbie.
Yeah, there's probably some
post it.
videos of it. Christopher Lloyd in that scene, those like screams in that bathtub, it's like, it's giving me like Judge Doom. It's giving me Doc Brown, like all these roles that, I mean, I don't know. I think of Christopher Lloyd as like a good, like well-respected actor, but every now and then I forget, like he's played some freaking nuts in movies. And so that's kind of why he does this character so well. A lot of screaming as Fester. It's like howling at the moon.
Yes.
At the beginning.
His like character introduction, howling at that Méliès, that like
Georges
Méliès moon.
Yeah. Yeah, you almost want there to be a face painted into that moon. We need to talk about, what is it? The Harmony Hut?
I love me some Harmony Hut. I feel like
I would have probably just done bad shit on purpose so I could just go hang out in the Harmony Hut.
Conversion therapy. This is the first thing I thought. It's conversion therapy. This place is exclusionary, and you got to get in line. You got to watch the Brady Bunch. You got to watch Sound of Music.
Mike Pence is going to make you go to the Harmony Hut, but you're secretly going to love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, if they were gay kids, they wouldn't mind hanging out watching Annie on a loop.
Yeah, they're like, that's fine by me. Oh, God, and her little smile. That is just brilliant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
so what do we notice that's in the Harmony Hut?
Well, I mean, there's the big zoom in on the Michael Jackson.
And the scream. Oh, it's great.
Yeah. He is not having this Michael Jackson poster in this room. What else is in there?
The Heal the World poster.
It's Heal the World. Are there any other posters of like celebrities or anything else in there? I just was focusing on Michael Jackson.
We'll have to go back and screenshot some of it.
Is this a subtle jab at MJ for not following through with this supposed collaboration?
Oh, talk about this, guys. This is a mess.
I mean, we had the Addams Family rap in the first movie, which, I mean,
I think it works.
In fairness, the Addams Family rap is not exactly like...
It's not really high art, but I do think that it works. Like,
it won a Raspberry.
It was
or was it for this movie?
I don't know.
I think it was the one in this movie. The
one in this movie's bad.
Addams Family.
Yeah.
And then they're doing that weird, like, Morticia and Gomez. And, like, just listing off all the characters randomly.
Well, I think the Whoop Addams Family isn't that MC Hammer? I can't remember what the Addams Family rap was.
He did the first one.
Yeah, it's bad. It was on SNL.
No shit.
Yeah. MC Hammer hosted SNL and he did that. And Christina Ricci and the boy who was Pugsley introduced him.
Oh my gosh.
Which also, the actor who was Pugsley used to frequent a karaoke bar that my friends and I would frequent a lot in Burbank / North Hollywood. And it was Sardo's. It was not the other one, Jiggles or whatever that was called. Ripples. But
which one does the porn star karaoke?
Sardo's.
Okay.
It was that one. And this was one of the ones where you could, on any given evening, run into Mr. Belding.
Sure.
Who would like legit sing karaoke.
And probably Seth MacFarlane too.
Well, I ran into him a couple of times then as well. But yeah, Mr. Belding would legit sing karaoke and also make all of your female friends uncomfortable.
Yeah,
sure. Do you remember us at the
Max restaurant?
At the Max restaurant, and
how could I forget?
He walked in, and we didn't even have to call him over the table. He just stopped by.
Well, we were in Mr. Belding's office.
Mr. Belding's office.
So that's the room we were in the Max restaurant, and so he would come in nightly.
Oh God!
Not invited. It was not part of the situation. But because he lives in the area, would just come in.
Came in just for photo ops.
Go into Mr. Belding's office, sit at the desk, and just line of people, and just take pictures with everybody.
Wow!
And
what an existence!
Yes,
huh?
and we're dining in the office. We're not even in there to take a picture with. We're just dining with him. So as he passes us, he stops at our table and he
comments on Brad's hat.
Well, our friend Brad was wearing a baseball cap, and he was just like, "I like your hat. I'm a hat guy," and then kept walking.
Such an extrovert.
Yeah,
what a great conversationalist.
I loved it. But yeah, so Pugsley, or the actor, I'm forgetting his name, and I'll get to it. Sorry, dude. But he would often
Jimmy Workman.
Jimmy Workman. Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Jimmy Workman didn't sign off his likeness on the Addams Family pinball machine.
Aw, boo. Because it's just like a blank.
He's the only person where you don't hear their voice.
Oh, the voice. Okay. Oh, well. He's doing fine.
Is he?
Is he, though?
I'm sure he is. So the Addams Family rap, we were talking about the Michael Jackson song, Ghosts.
Yeah, guys, this is an interesting backstory.
What do we know about this?
So the song that
was
supposed to be in the movie is called "Is It Scary?" However, he backed out of the project. Was it due to the sexual abuse allegations, or was the song just really bad and Paramount didn't like it? It's probably a little bit of both.
A little from column A, a little from column B.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the song made it to a single in 1997.
Sure,
I think.
And then they produced a Michael Jackson short film.
I'm not familiar with the short film. I've never seen it. I listened to the single today, and I don't see how it could have worked at all.
Sure.
Oh, it's weird. I mean, it's like it's supposed to be like Thriller Part 2.
Yeah. It's called Ghosts.
Yeah. And it's it's so weird because like there's these people like come into his haunted mansion, and you know they're saying how he's weird, he's madcap, and then they say like, well, is he scary? And then he starts making these faces, and all of a sudden the kids are they're won over, and I'm like, no, he's still terrifying. He's still absolutely terrifying. If Michael Jackson was gonna, he's like, do you really think I'm that scared? It's like, yeah, absolutely, man. Have you seen yourself?
He also does a very like female trouble, Michael Jackson's Clumps situation where he plays multiple characters in this. He plays like an angry white man, older gentleman, right? Who's kind of trying to shut this whole situation down.
Much happening.
It's very weird. But remember, Michael has his history with Anjelica in Captain EO.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Captain EO, which is also insane, but charming. right? I feel like that's fun.
Directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
Yes, directed by Coppola.
I just want to do a nice favor for my friend Angie. She's always been so sweet to me. I'm going to make a little song for her.
Oh, man. She is iconic in Captain EO. Like, get out of here. She's so scary in that. In this, like, alien queen kind of, like, hybrid.
She, like, emerges from the wall, like, Geiger style.
Well, she comes out of the ceiling, and she's, like, made of, like, piping and tubes and stuff.
And she...
That's how I like to make an entrance, too.
And she gets all glamorous from Michael's music.
Yes.
It has that effect.
He, like, shoots, like, waves of love at people out of his rainbow T-shirt, as you do. You know. So this song did not get added to the soundtrack. Instead, we get another weird rap song.
Sure.
I think it's by Tag Team. Yeah.
That was a thing in
because Tag Team
90s,
did.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh,
and isn't that, yeah,
sure.
that's
there you go.
this,
Yeah, same family. I was going to say there's this weird, like, in early 90s movies, like these jock jam kind of things that get folded in, and you're like, yeah, that makes no sense in context, but cheers. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, yeah, they did it in the first one with MC Hammer, and so they figured they had to do it again. But it's interesting to start out thinking we're going to get Michael Jackson. Weird controversy. That gets dropped. We'll get Tag Team.
Yeah, that's a great alternative.
I guess There It Is was probably a really big hit. And, you know, to be fair, it was probably, you know, dominating the charts.
Yeah.
But does it age well? Not really. Not really. But it doesn't matter. That's not what this movie's remembered for. So
I think we really need to dig into the Thanksgiving of it all.
Yes.
We need to get it. We need to get into Gary's vision.
Fucking Gary. Yeah. So
let's start with the songs. I mean, now those are classics.
Yeah, those are really good songs.
Eat me. Hey, it's Thanksgiving Day.
Eat me.
I was reading that the Thanksgiving play took 2 weeks to film.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, exactly. Pugsley is a giant turkey. This costume is amazing. Who is the character that the pilgrim woman that what's her name
Sarah
plays?
something?
Yeah. Is that a real character? Is that a real person from the first Thanksgiving?
I don't know if Gary's vision is all that entirely accurate.
Historically accurate?
I don't believe Pocahontas was an invitee.
I don't believe that the Chippewas were from Virginia and went to the first Thanksgiving. I believe that the Chippewas were from, like, Canada.
Okay.
And, like, the upper Midwest of the United States.
Okay.
Yeah, much like the story we tell of Thanksgiving, it's pretty muddled, kind of a mixed bag.
Pretty watered down.
Hearsay and conjecture. So where the first Thanksgiving, I would imagine, would have been somewhere along the Gulf Coast, right?
I mean, it was in Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah. I was looking up the Winnipong tribe was at the first Thanksgiving.
Yeah, who RSVP'd?
Mm-hmm.
And what did they bring? Was it green bean casserole?
I don't think so.
Candied yams. Mm-hmm. Were there marshmallows in the yams?
Just a turkey on a plate already cooked.
I would imagine an olden days wild turkey would probably be delicious.
I mean, I've had wild turkey for Thanksgiving. It is good.
Okay, so the historical accuracy we can
but
ding them on.
It's a part of the just sort of the jab that this is sort of
it's this American history class version of of a Thanksgiving play. Is it summer camp?
Okay, now like Gary, I mean, of all the things,
a Thanksgiving play at summer camp.
They do? And if it's not summer camp and it is actually Thanksgiving week, where's the snow?
It did look like they probably shot this in the early spring.
There's fog on this
because there's fully fog and clouds. It looks
weather
very
changes
chilly
at Chippewa. Yeah,
very dramatically. Doesn't look very sunny at all, though.
No,
but I mean that goes along with Wednesday and Pugsley's aesthetic.
Whole
at least.
thing, yeah.
So, all the blonde Aryan kids get cast as the Pilgrims. and all of
the misfits or the Indians.
The misfits and the ethnic kids get cast as the Indians.
How about them?
And Wednesday gets cast as Pocahontas.
Lead of the misfits.
Lead misfit as Pocahontas.
And we
herself.
fully think that Wednesday has, like, turned to the dark side.
Sure.
Thinking that she's sort of just been brainwashed by the Harmony Hut.
Yes, after all of her time in the Harmony Hut, she comes out with a crazy, like, sadistic smile. Is it in the Harmony Hut where we see Joel's trading card collection?
No, they're behind.
Who the hell is sending those to him?
They're behind
Schizos and Maniacs.
They're behind the bleachers when they're casting
Amy Fisher,
Gary's play.
Okay, so I have a little bone to pick with his trading cards of Schizos, Maniacs, and Serial Killers.
All he's missing is Jack the Ripper and that Zodiac guy.
Yeah. But Amy Fisher, neither is she a schizo or a serial killer. Maybe she's a maniac, but she only shot and maimed one person. Mary Jo didn't even die.
We should say this is like our third time on the podcast discussing Amy Fisher.
I mean, I love Amy Fisher. Well, I don't love Amy Fisher, but I'm obsessed with the story.
You love the story of Amy Fisher.
I love Joey and Mary Jo Buttafuoco. I love them. They're great. I mean, they're horrible people, but the whole situation is jacked up. But I have to say, Amy Fisher, not a serial killer, nor is she a schizo. But it is funny. It's funny because it was very topical.
I was going to say for the time, yeah.
Very topical to have. And this weird picture, these cards were like, they look like they were just kind of like.
Debbie has her own card.
Together. The Black Widow.
The Black Widow, yeah.
Yes, she does.
She's holding a machine gun.
There was somebody else on there. James Earl Ray, I think, was on there. Yeah.
And there's a strange, very like Wednesday-esque, like the Addamses are particular. I mean, with the exception of, I'd say, like Fester, they're a pretty calm, collected group.
Yes.
So, like, you know, they ask, like, where are they? Like, we were calling the FBI. Like, this is just what they have to do. Like, oh, dear, their new aunt is a serial killer. They should really let folks know. But there's not, like, a sense of, like, energy
urgency.
Or, like, like, we've got to, like, oh, dear, this is unfortunate.
Yeah.
We should probably bring that up.
Yeah, totally. That's funny. I didn't even think of that. Oh, another. I just remembered. Kind of. We covered this already, but we were talking about the like kind of like faggy people that are like peppered throughout this movie.
Yeah.
What I didn't even notice last night, just right over my head, the delivery room doctor that delivers Pubert.
David Hyde Pierce.
David Hyde Pierce.
Oh.
How did I not notice that?
And what drag queen is at the wedding?
Oh, Charles Busch.
Charles Busch.
From Die Mommy Die.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that when Wednesday gets the bouquet, even though she doesn't want to, there's two women behind her, and one of them looks at Wednesday and she said, bitch. Tramp.
Yeah.
It's Charles Busch.
You can tell whoever did the casting on this like had connections to theater and
Yes.
and was gay.
Yeah.
Or gay adjacent.
Yes, indeed.
A fruit fly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I just remembered David Hyde Pierce when you were talking about like the family's reaction to having a serial killer among them.
Yeah, it's just, you know, like, oh, I mean, it tracks.
Yeah, yeah. So we think that Wednesday has drank the Kool-Aid and is just going to go along with this play. And on the day of the performance, do none of the Addamses show up for this performance?
No.
Doesn't look like
They're
it.
too busy with the Fester and Debbie drama.
Yeah.
To remember that they left their kids at summer camp.
Well, let's take a listen to a little bit of that.
Wait. What? We cannot break bread with you. Huh? Becky, what's going on? Wednesday! You have taken the land which is rightfully ours. Years from now, my people will be forced to live in mobile homes, on reservations. Your people will wear cardigans and drink highballs. We will sell our bracelets by the roadsides. You will play golf and enjoy hot hors d'oeuvres. My people will have pain and degradation. Your people will have stick shifts. The gods of my tribe have spoken. They have said, do not trust the pilgrims. Especially Sarah Miller. Gary, she's changing the words. And for all these reasons, I've decided to scalp you. And and burn your village to the ground.
Amazing.
I like that Gary fully looks like he's about to tackle her. Christine Baranski has to pull him back.
His vision is puerile, and but no, he was like, "You were ruining this was my moment.
Yeah.
This was my 15 minutes of fame, and you've taken it from me." I absolutely love that. I love the about face, and it's like, no, she's still our girl.
Yeah.
That's really satisfying. And then, okay, I love the ambiguity of what happens afterward.
Yes.
Sure. Because she does light that match, and they were putting gasoline.
They were literally roasting them. Like, I think there were casualties, but I like that we don't know if there were.
Yes.
And this is when it just sort of turns into that live action cartoon.
Yeah.
That all rules of reality have been thrown out the window.
Yeah. There are some really fun things with the logic of this movie. Mm-hmm. Like all the attempts to kill Pubert.
Yes.
Are and I think they work so long as you get the tone right.
Yeah. They're funny. It's funny, and it's obviously just tongue in cheek, and it's a live action cartoon.
Yeah. The lady baked into the cake.
Oh my God. Yeah.
There are a couple things I'm like, oh my gosh, this is bad. And then, but then you're like, but it works.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, they fully murdered a stripper.
Yeah.
The tone of it sells it.
Yeah.
And the performances.
But like the little baby hand, like grabbing the guillotine blade.
The guillotine, dressed up like Marie Antoinette.
Yeah. And that little baby, or those twins.
Hubert Addams, it was played by two twin girls, Caitlin Hopper and Kristen Hopper.
They were the cutest babies ever.
With the little mustache.
Their
it's a very camera
with the
ready
little
baby.
Mustache and the white pancake foundation is so funny.
I was reading that Pubert was rejected name from the comics that Charles Addams wanted.
Yeah, they said it was too provocative.
Mm-hmm. It's filthy.
And Debbie says it's filthy.
I love it.
Atta girl.
Yeah, I really like the shot where Gary and Christine Baranski are on the spit and they're like turning.
Yeah, they're just being. Yeah.
But the way they shot that with the fire underneath them, it's really a cool shot because it looks like that fire is right underneath them.
I actually thought about that because I mean, obviously
they played with the angles of it.
Yeah, a trick of the camera, but it's really well done. And how do they get away? Do we even know? Do they come to pick them up?
No.
Wednesday is just breaking out.
Okay,
and then she has her goodbye with David Krumholtz, and he's going to watch the whole thing burn.
Sure.
And it's one of those things too that we are watching children in red face, but I guess since they're sticking it to the white man, we'll let it slide.
Yeah. I mean, they were put into that by adults.
Yes,
it's not like,
and it's almost one of those things that it's a comment of just how we perceive
how stupid we
Native Americans too.
Yeah.
So it's like it works.
Yeah. I have to say when they first try to break out and Wednesday and Pugsley are going for the fence and he's like, tetanus, and he brings out his little like wire cutters to cut the fence.
What a sweetie.
Wednesday and Pugsley are in full on ninja costumes.
Yes,
ninja costumes. I love it.
Like their faces and masks are revealed. Who could it be?
Was so funny. Just such a funny touch that they had these ninja costumes that they're wearing for this breakout.
That they packed.
Yeah, that they had to pack. I love, but I just love
we'll
that
find
about
a use
them.
for these.
Yeah, I love it.
And their Victorian swimwear.
Oh,
yeah, I love it.
Yeah, those Pugsley's little like Fred Mertz like swimming suit. Yeah, great use of like the costume design. Pugsley's hair in this movie is insane.
That crazy fade with those bangs.
Yeah, with the bangs.
Just
it's like it's a
up.
shaved head, but they're still spiky bangs.
But
yeah.
Sometimes how it's lit, it looks really weird too.
Yeah, when he's backlit. Mm-hmm. It's very reminiscent of. There's like a female skinhead haircut that's called a birdie, where they just shave their whole head but they leave their bangs, and it's that but for a boy and straight up in the air. It's kind of like a punk rock thing. You two wouldn't know.
Oh, thanks. So I would like to discuss the bizarre filmography of this director. Are you at all familiar with Barry
Sonnenfeld?
Sonnenfeld. So he started out as a DP, as a camera operator. He worked with the Coen brothers a lot. He did Raising Arizona, Blood Simple, and Miller's Crossing, and he later shot in the 80s Throw Mama from the Train.
So he's a photographer for all these movies.
When Harry Met Sally, and Misery was his last photography credit.
Wow.
And then he was just given The Addams Family. And it was a huge hit.
Yeah. And what I remember from the time, because as like a teenager, I was kind of like you know, I would read like Premiere Magazine and just kind of watch all those like entertainment news magazines and stuff. And what I saw of him from the production of the first movie and this movie was that he's that kind of director that wears a suit when he's directing.
Very Paul Feig.
Well, it's very Alfred Hitchcock.
Sure.
Is the idea. I mean,
but when you look at
so
Barry's,
it's just a very specific kind of thing where it's like, I'm a movie director and this is a set and this is my set and I'm going to wear this suit. And, you know, a lot of people, I mean, the go-to like basic ass bitch kind of thing is like, oh, this movie's so Tim Burton.
Sure.
And I get that. But he goes on to direct Men in Black.
Wild Wild West, but then he also has some weird, forgettable comedies. 9 Lives, starring Kevin Spacey, where he gets turned into the cat. RV with Cheryl Hines and Robin Williams.
Okay.
And Big Trouble with Tim Allen. But just these very flop studio comedies, so it must be nice to be a straight, mediocre comedy director that you just keep getting all of these movies handed to you.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the two Addams Family and Men in Black movies were huge moneymakers.
This Senile Values wasn't that big of a hit.
Okay.
It just barely made back its budget.
Isn't that sad? Isn't
like,
that sad?
I think it did okay.
Superior.
Yeah, it is better than the first movie.
I think it did okay. It just made back its budget, but they didn't do another follow-up to it. And I just think it's weird that he didn't sort of follow Values with something bigger. I mean, I guess it was Men in Black.
Yeah. But Men in Black was huge.
And I think that he was one of the big creators for Pushing Daisies, I think.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
and
he was.
He's a producer, and I think that he did...
Yeah.
He produced a series of unfortunate events, both the movie and the Netflix series.
Okay. The movie really looks like his work, too.
But yeah, just kind of has this weird filmography.
Yeah. And the first two, I don't remember if he did the third Men in Black, but the first two were fine.
Yeah.
I feel like they dip in quality with each one leading up to the third one. And this last one with Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson's like, who cares? But yeah, it's like the first one was good and it was fun, but they're not like these masterpieces of comedy or sci-fi for that matter. They're kind of like just big budget, kind of lowest common denominator. I don't know. Like they're a little like crowd pleasers. You know, they're not very like artful. Whereas I feel like at least with these two, it's like there's some really good ideas and really fun.
Its art direction was always Oscar nominated.
Yeah.
Oh, that should be. And just the attention to detail, and so that kind of makes sense if you say he's the sort of fellow who's like wearing a suit. And
I believe that they got for the set decorator a guy that used to work with Kubrick a lot.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's crazy.
When you hear the actors talk about actually making it, it sounds really daunting. And I'm sure that has to do with sort of the style of the director as well. But, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that like, it takes 2 weeks to do the Thanksgiving thing because it's just so intricate.
Yeah. And then just like all the lighting that we were talking about with Morticia and all the makeup work. And I mean, it's a big production with everything, that got put into it. It has everything. It's got special effects, practical effects, makeup effects, like everything's going on. And every scene has something that would just take way longer than your average, like, family drama.
Anjelica Huston and Carol Kane in this interview that I read, they were just complaining about, like, so much time was spent on set just waiting.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And she probably had to stand up. She probably couldn't even sit in that dress.
They probably got her one of those, the old fat, like the boxers
boards,
had, or the boards. You just kind of lay back and.
Yeah,
I definitely noticed on this viewing that the Addams Family house looks the most set bound. Because in the first movie, it's out in the open air, And this one definitely looks like it's enclosed in a studio.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you see that from the first shot with Fester when he's just the proportion, like he's standing up on top of the house and just the proportions. You're like, that's not a house that people live in.
It still looks great, but the first movie, I think it's opened up to the air a little bit, so it looks a little more lived
he's
in.
He's out, on the I don't know, balcony with playing golf. And
I think I was going to say, I think they changed it up a little bit because, when he's golfing in the first movie, he's on top of the glass conservatory thing, and in this one you can't stand on that. From the exterior, it's like the way the ceiling or the way the roof of that glass, what do you call it, greenhouse part is, it's redesigned.
I mean, they're rich and they spend a lot of time at home.
True.
So just being in kind of a constant state of renovations of the house.
Because I also feel like in the first movie, the staircase was a little bit different. I feel like it echoed more the TV show where it did that thing where it splits off.
Sure.
The
entryway is a little more open, too.
And in this one, it's just the staircase is just this long, steep staircase that just goes all the way up to.
They're like,
forever.
we're going to spend $1 million to have the house renovated, but we want it to look like shit.
Yeah, but
because shit is our thing.
I also love that it's like this old wooden house, and from the inside you can see between the slats of the wood, like the light coming through. That just makes it look like this spooky old house. Yeah, that's really
such
cool.
A nice touch in every scene. Is the slats of the
from the wood. There's some really cool shots too that look like matte paintings.
Yeah,
especially when Wednesday and Pugsley are trying to throw the baby off of the tower.
Yeah,
and there's a shot from above that it's
it's like comically
extended.
Extended,
really
yeah. That was a big visual effect thing during that time. That's like a very Dick Tracy Batman kind of.
Yeah, it's like they're making it look like a camera lens situation when really they just did a painting.
Because that house must have been 300 feet tall. If all of a sudden he's going to fall that far.
Yeah. Now they're on the 70th floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
all right. Do we want to talk about the climax with Debbie?
I do. Yeah. I do wonder how she was able to get them all tied up and
Yeah. Oh, we've got some parrots.
The Pasadena parrots are out.
Yeah. Listen to him, guys.
Coming to serenade us. Just like Michael did for his buddy Angie.
These damn... You have these parrots where you live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
They're rampant.
Nuisance. They're lovely to look at.
Wipe them out.
But they're so loud. So, Debbie... Yeah, how does she drug them all? How does she get them?
I mean, they're just kind of willing participants.
Yeah.
Again, there's not this sense of urgency, really. So they're like, "Oh, you want to tie us up?" Okay.
Yeah.
Fester gets away from Debbie because we played the clip to start the episode, and Debbie tracks him down at the house with her shotgun. In-laws.
I guess she's got a shotgun.
Yeah.
So she's just sit down in this chair, or I'll shoot your family.
And they're like,
so that's probably why. Yeah, I
guess. But little does Debbie know, I don't know if physics apply to the Addamses at all, because Wednesday and Pugsley electrocute themselves all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do wonder how these people die.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they're immortal.
And that's what's very charming about the Addamses is that... I was going to say, just the laws of physics don't really apply to them.
I was going to say, I think they're all just really lucky.
Sure.
Because all the stuff with the baby is he's crawling through the house and, bowling balls are falling all over the place and he's just sliding down banisters and all these series of events happen so that he doesn't get hurt. And
I mean, they're nice people.
Yeah,
exactly. You hope it for them.
It's not supernatural and it's not that he's indestructible. It's that he's just a really lucky baby.
It's like Looney Tune logic.
Yeah. And the thing is with Gomez is just really good with the knives and he just throws them all willy-nilly, but they don't hit Fester at all. And, it's Looney Tunes logic, but it's just that these people are blessed, to not get hurt. Yeah. So it's a little mixture of all that. But, yeah, Debbie's got her final monologue at the end, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Malibu Barbie.
My parents, Sharon and Dave, generous, doting, or were they? All I ever wanted was a ballerina Barbie in her pretty pink tutu. my birthday. I was 10. And do you know what they got me? Malibu Barbie.
Malibu Barbie.
The nightmare.
The nerve.
That's not what I wanted. That's not who I was. I was a ballerina. Graceful, delicate. I had to go.
House on fire.
I love that she fully just has a slideshow. She's just
Yeah.
like, I'm going to kill you and I'm going to show you why.
She has audio visuals.
Well, as we know in horror films, like before when the killer is revealed, they must have like a detailed
Yes.
PowerPoint of
like
the
Rebecca
explanation.
Gayheart, urban legend style.
yes.
Oh.
She has her slides ready.
Oh, like in Scream 3 when he's been filming the entire lead up to
Yes.
the reveal. Yeah, I think if I mean a serial killer does have to have quite a bit of advanced planning to pull off what they're doing, and so I like that she knew at age 7 that was her path. So she was like, one day
Delicate.
I'm really going to need this. Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, Debbie, the Malibu Barbie is going to be probably worth more money than Ballerina Barbie
Yeah, look,
is.
bitch.
That's true.
When you look up that shit online.
What's more pricey these days, Ballerina or Malibu?
Malibu Barbie.
I'm wearing my my Debbie Malibu Barbie DJ Mikey Pop t-shirt
Yes,
for the
indeed.
recording today.
Pictures available on Instagram or Patreon.
People always get really excited to see this t-shirt too. When
Yeah,
they
they
see
do.
who it is.
You get a lot of man on the street action with that shirt. So little baby Pubert saves the day when she flips that switch of electricity.
And such a brilliant way to play the comedy of this scene that the sympathies with the Addamses are with Debbie.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, Malibu Barbie.
Like, they
Awful.
do feel for
Why
her.
would you want that?
And I love the when she's like, "Did any of you really care about Debbie?" And then Gomez says hands, and you can hear all of their hands like trying to be raised.
It's adorable. No,
Yeah.
and that's the great thing about them is that at any point she could have been accepted.
Yeah.
At any point, like, I mean, she could have just said at that moment, actually, I'm just going to let you go. And they're like, that's great, Debbie. Thank
Yeah.
you." And they all could have just gone back to being
Totally.
friends.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely
They
right.
would love her even more knowing that she's
She was capable of that, yeah.
that she's capable of this, and
Talk
that
about street
she was
cred.
like a Black Widow murderess.
Yep. I mean, they've got that whole like graveyard in the back of the house from the first movie where they go play Wake the Dead.
Wake the dead.
But when Debbie gets electrocuted and slowly turns to dust,
Oh, yeah.
it's funny, but it's also like, oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
All that's left are her white pumps and a pile of dust.
Which is what we all hope for.
Yeah, true. The some of the shots though with like the lights and her like electrocuted hair are kind of funny.
The best.
Yeah, that is super Looney Tunes. Like her crazy electrocuted hair. But yeah, I mean, she eventually turns to dust, and gosh, I'm having trouble remembering how like they get out of the situation. Like, do we just not care? They're tied
Again,
up.
Looney Tune logic.
Yeah.
Like, who did someone come and...
Maybe Wednesday and Pugsley showed up. They've been walking home from Camp Chippewa
Yeah.
and untied everybody. Oh
Well, I mean, they already do show up.
Yeah, they're there.
oh,
they're
they're there. They're part of all this. That's right.
Baby Pubert just lets him out.
Sure, Pubert just unlocked.
God, I bet that took forever, though.
Tiny baby, just like.
Now the right hand? Now the right hand.
Oh man, yeah. That's why we didn't.
And
see
we
it.
end on Pubert's first birthday.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we didn't talk about Pubert's blonde hair.
Oh, yeah.
poor
That
thing.
fucking wig on that baby.
Yikes.
That baby blonde hair.
Pubert was turning normal, and he could possibly have a normal life and be a lawyer.
A doctor. President.
Yeah.
And nothing upset them more.
I thought it was kinda cute.
I love that
Kinda
moment with Morticia reading him The Cat in the Hat. And she's just
yeah,
somberly
so touching.
reading Dr. Seuss. And then she turns the page and she's just like, oh no, he lives.
Yeah.
Mom of the year.
Yeah.
Kind of a callback to when she becomes a kindergarten teacher in the first movie. And she's telling the Hansel and Gretel story.
The evil children.
Where she was burned alive. Now, kids, how do you think that felt?
How do you think that felt?
She's so maternal.
Yes. Her delivery's so good, though. But yeah, that's the other thing. It's like these actors got this material, and it's like you can kind of do anything because...
And especially Anjelica, that she knew never to give too much.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very understated performance.
Yeah, for sure. But just so funny and iconic. And you know, now it's like, now we see Morticia, Anjelica Huston as Morticia included with, you know, in all of those, like, hot rod, like, T-shirts with, like, Lily Munster and...
They're usually covered in,
Vampira.
like, sleeve tattoos.
Or just, like, a little purse shaped like a coffin or something. Mm-hmm. You know, in, like, some, like, punk rock, you know, accoutrement store. She's always included in all that, and, like, all the, like, Tumblr art and stuff.
They've just become, like, rockabilly icons.
Yeah.
Yes.
Truly. All the goth kids are like, fuck yeah, Morticia.
Yeah.
She speaks to me.
Now, I chose to skip Addams Family Reunion.
Oh,
What's
I never
that?
watched it.
What's that?
It's right answer.
It's with Tim Curry. And who plays Morticia? Oh, it's Daryl Hannah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
very interesting casting.
Yeah, very interesting guy.
Tim Curry, I understand completely, but
Yeah, Tim Curry makes sense. I'm okay with it. So that was made to, you know, straight to DVD.
Straight to, I mean, this is the age of, I mean, that would have been the age of
VHS.
tape.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the year of Addams Family Reunion.
Probably like 98 or so.
Yeah, so it was probably definitely on VHS. Then I believe there was a short-lived sitcom. It might have been Canadian. It might have been Canada
I don't
only.
remember that.
Yeah.
All I'm thinking is of the Munsters.
Eugene Levy.
Oh my god.
The Munsters now.
The Munsters today.
The Munsters today.
Garmia.
Oh man. Eugene Levy would be not a great Gomez.
And then we've had. Did you guys catch the? Gosh, it must have been like maybe only like a year ago now. But the totally animated one.
We watched it.
Yeah,
it was
we
okay.
We rented it. It was
Isn't
fine.
Charlize?
Yeah,
Charlize was Morticia, and Oscar
Oscar
Isaac
Isaac.
was Gomez.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Maybe the voices could work, but like trying to envision that had it been live action. I don't know.
sure, it was fine. It's the animation was cute. They did some really good stuff.
They tried to match the
matched the comic.
Charles Addams
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah, so that worked. But I mean, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it either.
The musical was pretty well received with Nathan Lane and Bebe Neuwirth.
The fun thing about the musical was that they aged up Wednesday. She was like a teenager.
And she brings home a boyfriend.
It was a pregnancy scare.
Oh,
Was there?
No, oh my gosh.
Okay.
No, just could you imagine?
that would be really funny. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like gay icons included in the making of this movie, and then a lot of gay icons kind of sprouted out of this movie with Debbie and Morticia.
Debbie has just sort of lived this legacy in like the past 10 years that she's just beloved by gay men.
Yeah, it's the campy performance. It's the over-the-top look.
I
It's
like
Joan.
I like the trade in Joan Cusack's 2 Oscar nominations for Working Girl and In and Out for a win for this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great substitute. But you know how they get about comedies.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, I kind of talk shit about Joan Cusack's 2 Oscar nominations and just how warranted were they.
In and Out.
But I do appreciate that they did recognize a performance like In and Out that normally would have not made the cut.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'm unfazed.
Yeah, but I mean, this role's iconic.
So good.
Yeah, people love it. it's lived on for a reason.
It's fun to do a Google search on Tumblr for Debbie cosplay.
Oh, I bet.
There's a lot of good Halloween costumes of this and con outfits.
She's got so many great outfits throughout this. No, really. I mean, like the silks, the pastels.
That's a Queen Anne chandelier. I love that delivery.
Yeah.
I love that. These are from magazines or from catalogs.
Catalogs.
Be careful, it's a credenza. These are beautiful things.
Yeah.
They're from catalogs. I'm like, I feel like I've said that a time or two.
Yeah. And everything's white, just like juxtaposed with the Addams and everything being
the
so
style of this
dusty.
mansion is it really puts me in the early 90s.
Yes,
and
it's very Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Just that tacky design of the early 90s that was trying to be luxe and rich.
Yeah. It's a little spelling manner.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Sorry, Tori. You know it's true.
We have 50 bedrooms.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a doll room in that house. I'm sure
a wrapping paper room.
A gift wrapping. We've got 500 rooms. So the Thanksgiving element of this movie is interesting, but hey, it fits our theming and our timing for the month.
I feel like I always revisit this movie around Thanksgiving too.
Sure.
It was released around this time, right?
Yeah, it was released.
Like this was intentional.
In November, yep.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because it's ultimately, I mean, it's a family movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a holiday movie. You go, have Thanksgiving, and then you go to a movie in the evening.
And I do remember, I mean, I was, maybe 5 when this came out, but like I do distinctly remember going with like my parents and my brother to see it in theaters.
So I did not see this one in the movie theater. I did see the first one in the theater with my dad and my sister, and I would have been young.
Yeah.
I would have been like 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been too young to the point that they would have had to like, be like, all right, like I wouldn't have been able to sit still.
Can you please leave now without making more of a fuss? Yeah.
But the family values of it all and the fact that we're all supposed to, come together and be thankful for our tribe and Friendsgivings and that kind of thing. Like, I think that's why it endures as a queer film.
Yeah.
Not just because so many gays were involved with it and it spawned so much, but that kind of coming together, finding your tribe of weirdos.
And your chosen family.
And we talked about it earlier, but just the movie, these two movies are just sort of a comment on coming out of the 80s with Ronald Reagan and George Bush.
Yeah, really
and just
good
sort
article.
of like what is the American family.
Really good article in Hollywood Reporter. I think it's about 2 years old now, and it's about sort of the sociopolitics of this movie and the George Bush era, and obviously what you're speaking to with the family values thing, but also kind of that critique of like the like laissez-faire capitalism of the 80s.
Yeah,
it's like you've got this family who's rich, but really doesn't give a shit about it. It's not an identity thing. And then the commenting and then the social commentary, the outsiders, and the fact that like you do have these people who are, when you're at Camp Chippewa, you have the Aryans versus like the multiracial coalition, that is seen as being different.
This movie's a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Did you know that you were the person who we last were in the movie theater with? The last time we saw a movie in the theater in March.
It was like March 10th or something?
Yeah.
We saw Onward, Pixar's Onward opening weekend.
And that was when things were getting a little weird.
Yeah,
like,
we were walking around the mall going...
There weren't too many people in the theater.
Yeah.
And we thought that was just had to do with the quality of the film. But that was right before all this went down, and I've not been in a movie theater.
We have not been back since.
Yeah, good times.
And we also just don't want to drive to Orange County to go see Tenet.
Yeah, it'll get there. We'll see it eventually, Chris Nolan. Don't worry. I know you wanted to save the movie.
Yeah, right. Christmas Day, Tenet, I think, is coming out, something like that. We'll see. We'll see.
I think it's coming out in December on Blu-ray and 4K.
So, the 14th and the 15th. At any rate, well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
On.
Good to finally have you on.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks, and I hope that everyone had a lovely Thanksgiving because this is going to be going out.
Mm-hmm.
And cue up Happy Turkey Day and eat me. Do your own little dance at home. Stay safe.
Yes, indeed. Stay safe, everybody. Please do, so you can keep listening to our show. We would love it if you would follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. And we'd love it if you would rate and review our show.
Give us 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars and write a review. When you do that, it helps our show get recognized and it helps more people to find us out there. You can also look us up on Patreon.
Yeah, we need to get on recording our new Watch With Us commentary. And I just ordered the postcards.
Yay!
And I will be sending them out because whenever you sign up for Patreon, I'm going to send you a movie postcard.
Yay,
Yeah,
cool.
cool.
So you can find us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/moviesthatmadeusgay. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Movies That Made Us Gay. And you can find us on Twitter
At MTMUG Pod.
Yes, indeed. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Peter Lasagna. And you can find Scott.
Scott Youngballer on Instagram.
Yes, indeed. And you also have that movie thing.
Letterbox. Look me up on Letterbox. I love how you're just so dismissive on Letterbox. Your
That
little
thing
movie
that you
thing.
do, that cute little thing that you have. I'm glad you have that.
Your little app that you got. I'll get one soon enough. But thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Malibu Barbie.
Yeah.